everybody, Kim here. I'm here to share my art journal plan with you. And I have a couple of these Canson XL mixed media notebooks that I got. The one I've been using for a swatch book, and I love opening it to see all the colors. I have a separate little Copic swatch. I don't have very many Copic markers, and when I choose to add, I'll have that I can take with me. But I mostly I create cards and a few other like mixed media projects, but I decided that I would really like to start an art journal where I can actually create projects in this journal, or try out techniques and make notes about them, what I liked, what I didn't like, and basically just try some things out. Other than just making cards, I'd like to have this book that I can refer to. And I thought today I would start by creating a fall page since it's October. And I just got these Altenew watercolor brush markers, so I'm going to use these. The colors are really, they lend themselves well, I think, for spring colors. It's a nice, beautiful, like rainbow set of colors with a couple of greens and a couple of blues and one neutral color in there. And I thought I would give it a try and pick out the colors that are most fall-like and use a technique that I was inspired to use from a masking class and a video that I saw. And the fall page was inspired by a video I saw on scrapbook.com, I think. So I thought I would just try something, create my own fall page in an art journal that I can, just experiment with, because I've only played with these markers, these watercolor brush markers, a little bit. So I'm putting on some warm sunshine, and I've actually put the colors onto a big clear block, and I added a lot of water to them. Not enough. I think I probably should have added way more water. And so far I've used warm sunshine, autumn blaze, rubellite, and the rubellite, when it's watered down, is quite pink. Then I have, that's moss, that color there, and then I have a little bit of this is dusk, very pretty. All these colors coordinate with Altenew's other ink products, their ink pads and stuff. So I'm adding a little bit more of the warm sunshine. I want to see how it blends with that blue. And I'm just playing with this. I'm just kind of streaking it across. That's limeade. It's greenish yellow, and I'm putting some rubellite down there. Let's see how that mixes, and some more yellow with that reddish rubellite. So I'm just, covering the background and playing around a little, just seeing how these work. So I believe I hit that with the heat gun there, and I want to do this technique. I believe Christina Werner did a video on this, and I want to do I took a class in masking techniques, so I pulled out the Altenew, this is called the Leaf Burst Stencil. I love this stencil, and I thought it would be a pretty fall inspired page if I use this. So that tape is Pro Artist tape that I got on Amazon. I really love this tape. I can put it directly on that paper, and if I push down, my paints don't seep through, and then I can remove it without damaging my paper at all. This is a mixed media notebook. So I have a Molotow Grafx liquid masking. It's like a pump marker, like you have to pump the color. So I'm shaking it up really well. It's got a ball inside, and I can see that the stuff is separated. So now this is the first time I've used it, and I am just like pushing down on the clear block to get that liquid masking fluid to move down into the tip. And I know it's moved down because it's a blue color, so when the tip turns blue, I know that this has worked. And I this is the first time I've tried the pen. I actually got the pen while I was taking the class, but I was using the liquid masking fluid straight from the bottle with an old paintbrush. We were doing really big surfaces, and this pen is actually it's a 4 millimeter round tip, but apparently this pump marker is actually refillable, and that tip is interchangeable, so you can get other tips. So I was thinking, doing this as I was doing this, that it would be nice if the marker actually had a finer tip on it for a project like this. A bigger tip for if was using large leaves, I might like that better, but this actually worked out fine. And I was very happy with the effect I got from this. So I'm putting this masking liquid over, and I'm going to let it dry. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to put more color on top. And then when that dries, I'll remove the masking liquid, and you'll see this color below, and you'll see the pattern the stencil creates with the newer ink on top. So I'm just completing that. And then I'm going to give this time to dry. So I've actually completed adding the masking liquid, and you can see I'm pulling that tape off, and no matter what kind of tape you use on the side here, you want to pull it off like at an angle over itself. So I'm just pulling it back over itself, like you just pull and just pull at an angle, so you're removing it and not, taking paper with it. So to remove this, I'm actually going to dab this with just a paper towel to start with, and then as long as the instructions on the side say as long as you remove the masking fluid within 2 days, you should be fine. So I'm going to dab it because you can rub this stuff off with your finger, but I have an adhesive allergy, so I'm not sure what's in there. I try not to touch things unless I know what's in them, because that stuff is in everything. So I really like this. It was easy to use. It was much, much easier to use this masking fluid than using that masking liquid with the brush. Although if I had a large surface to do, the brush was actually easy to do. And I actually found this much easier to remove stuff. So I've given that background or that masking liquid time to dry. It's still a little tacky in a couple spots, but I'm not too worried. I'm pulling out some of my Altenew spray mists. I've had these for a while, and I actually got them. Altenew had a sale on these spray mists, and they bundle them with stencils. So you can get an Altenew stencil with a bottle or two of these, depending on the particular bundle. And when they first came out with the metallic sprays, they had a really nice sale. Altenew is nice because if you purchase, they have coupon codes. If you purchase $100 worth of stuff, you get $7 off. And if you purchase $200 worth of stuff, you get free shipping. And to me, free shipping is huge. So I actually wait. I keep my wish list and I wait until they have a good sale on something, and then I try to get that free shipping. So I'm just going to hit this with the heat tool I have, and I have to tell you, I don't know that I would do that again. The next time I would just actually, it was stinky, and I don't think I would heat that ever again. I don't want to smell toxic fumes. I don't know that they're toxic, but it was stinky. So I decided I'll put that aside, and I'm pulling out, I just got this fall Bountiful Inspiration, it's Bountiful Harvest Inspiration box from Brutus Monroe. These are nice little craft kits. Look at that. They packed it with this packing material. I'm saving that because I can stuff a gift bag with that, and it will be fabulous. I'll pretend I made it. But I like the sentiments in this, and I love how graphic the stamps in it. It's got coordinating dies, although I didn't use, the dies don't actually cut out those leaf shapes, I don't think. But it's got a lot of stuff in there. There's labels, there's thread, there's little envelopes, there's this pretty mix of fall. I should have used that on the page. I don't know why I didn't. There's a little ink cube, some nice ribbon. There's always a charm in the box. That stamp is from the Stamp of the Month. It's a $5 subscription thing, and you get some kind of fun stamp. And I'm just looking through the box to see what I want to use on this page, and it turns out I end up not using anything but the dies, but I'm just like flabbergasted at all the great stuff I got in this kit. That sparkle paper is gorgeous. And then the colors of cardstock I got, it's beautiful cardstock. It's a nice heavyweight cardstock. So I'm excited about this kit. I got a little distracted. That's the ADD in me there, getting distracted by the fun stuff in the box when I'm really got another project going. So I'm pulled this out and it's fine. So this feels dry enough to put my next layer of ink on top. So, I've let this sit for a while and my inks are kind of dried onto the ink block, so I just reactivate them with waters. You can do that because they're watercolors. And now I'm just going to put another layer of the ink over the top. And I kind of want to see what it looks like when I put it over the top of the different colors. So I'm just playing around with this. Like, this is really an experiment in this technique and also with these particular watercolors because I haven't played with them very much. And the bottom layer is dry, so the bottom layer isn't going to mix with the top layer, but I may be able to see how like one color layers on top of another color, which colors actually layer nicely, which colors don't, which colors are dominant when you're putting them together. So I have not created that swatch of these inks yet, so that's on my list of things to do. So I'm just adding some more blue. That's the dusk color. I really like that color. I think it's really pretty. And the colors don't feel really fall to me. They're so vibrant. It's not really looking very fall to me yet with just the watercolor, so I'm going to have to add some elements to make it really feel like a fall page. And again, I'm just scribbling colors on, just giving myself a background. I'm just dabbing it off the masking liquid and making sure I have it covered everywhere that I want it covered. So again, I will heat this with the heat tool just to get the, I'm trying not to heat that masking fluid because it's actually already dry, but I'm just want to dry up that ink because I want to do more. I start to erase the masking fluid and then I realize I forgot to use my ink sprays. So I pull out my ink sprays and I have a box that I sometimes do this in, but as long as I do like half a pump, these don't spray all over the place. So I'm mixing them up. There's a little ball inside, and I have a baby wipe there right next to me. And when you use these ink sprays or ink sprays of any kind, you should really wipe the nozzle with a baby wipe so that you keep it from clogging in the future. And there, I remember to do that with that first one I used. So the first one I used was actually the silver metallic, and this is, it was antique silver. Now this is antique gold. And now I've actually got the iridescent. And the iridescent will dry clear, but it leaves such a pretty shimmer on your page. And then I also want to, since these are watercolors, I pull out my distress sprayer and I just hit that with water. And I'm just going to let that dry. And I'm going to dab up some of the areas there over the masking liquid to get that off. I'm going to just, again, hit this with my heat tool around the masked part just to dry it up so I can move on to the next step. Because the next step I want to do is I want to remove that masking fluid. And this is easy. You can just peel it off with your finger, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use one of those little adhesive remover squares. I love that thing. I have 2 or 3 of them, and it works just like an eraser, so it actually takes that fluid off beautifully. So other ways you might want to use this masking fluid, if you do a lot of scene building cards, you actually could use this instead of paper masking over things. It actually works really nicely. I was surprised. I had not heard of the liquid masking materials until I took the class. So I felt like I learned a lot out of that class. And I used actually, it's called liquid frisket, is the liquid masking stuff that you edit with a brush. And it has to be a brush you never want to use again because you don't get that stuff out of your brush. So I actually keep a bunch of really inexpensive paint brushes from like the children's craft section where you can get them like a whole bulk package of very inexpensive paintbrushes, and that's the kind of thing I would use here. So when my adhesive thing gets gunky, I just pull it off, or a lot of times I'll take my craft shears out and I will just clip the edges to make them nice and square again. And you can see this just erases off. It comes off absolutely beautifully, and it comes off with your finger too. You just roll it off. So it doesn't take very long, and look at that stencil showing through. And you can see the original colors, and as I'm looking at it, I realize that I didn't even try to blend those colors together. I have that green line, and I'm kind of wishing in the future, next time I do this, I would make sure I blended my lines together. So like that, like just a little thing I would do in the future. Like that's a note I'll make. When I make, like I'm going to make notes on this or on the page adjoining it, and list what I've used on this page and what techniques I've used and how I did it. So it's going to be kind of like a technique art journal that makes me happy because look at this color. The color is beautiful. I'm going to open this page and be happy every time I see it. And that leaf burst stencil from Altenew is just fabulous. Think of all the techniques you could do with that one stencil. All the pastes, all the colors you can blend. So I really like the sweater weather sentiment from that Brutus Monroe set that I just got. And I actually pulled out a couple of older stamp sets. The Sunny Studio Autumn Blessings is one of my favorites, and that's a couple years old. That says Hello Fall. And then I've got Catherine Pooler, one of her stamp of approvals was Counting Your Blessings. And this is the Autumn Blessings sentiment set. And I just love the big script sentiments on this set. So I'm pulling out Thankful, Grateful, Blessed from the Catherine Pooler set, and the Hello Fall and Wishing You a Season of Blessings from that Sunny Studios. And I'm deciding that I'm going to leave that sweater weather one for another day. So I'm just kind of laying out my stamps, and I want to make sure that this page is absolutely 100% dry because I'm going to emboss these. I want to heat emboss them, and I really want to use that antique gold embossing powder that I got from Altenew. I love that color with fall colors. Their rose gold is also very pretty with fall color pages. So, and the page is starting, as it dried, it started to look more like fall colors, with the exception of that bright pink. I really watered the red down too much. The red, and I did a swatch page yesterday in my other Canson XL Mixed Media Journal. I had is my swatch journal and my practice for seeing how colors blend from different ink sets and stuff. And so I know that when I use that red full strength, that Rubelite full strength, it's nice and red, and that when I water it out, it's pink. So I should have kept that in mind. So I'm just using my Versamark here. I'm going to stamp all the sentiments, and I'm going to do them one at a time, and I'm going to stamp, put the embossing powder on, then I'm going to pour that into a coffee filter. I have a coffee filter on my desk that I use for this, and I've got a paintbrush that's just a nice fluffy brush. I've had it forever, and it's always in my little tool cup that I use to brush off the excess. And I did go over this good with that Embossing Buddy bag. So I'm just going to keep doing this. And I sort of really liked these sort of stacked, starting at the left, and then the Grateful in the center, and then the Blessed will be a little to the right toward the bottom of that stencil. And then the two Sunny Studios will be centered, one on the top and one on the bottom. And I don't know how well you can see it, but that gold metallic spray mist really dried so pretty. And between the spritzing of the water and the two metallic and the iridescent spray mist, up close, this page has a lot of great texture. So it really does feel like mixed media here, because now I've used watercolors, I'm using embossing, I've used ink sprays, I've used a stencil technique with masking fluid, and the shimmery iridescent mist. So like, this really is multimedia. And the nice thing about that Blessed, I'm adding the ED there, but there's also an ING, and then there are some little smaller secondary sentiments that go with all of these in that stamp set. And I believe that stamp set is still available through Catherine Pooler. I just love her stamp sets, and I love her inks. And those clear blocks I'm using are Catherine Pooler clear blocks. They're my favorite clear blocks. They're just fantastic. I think she took all the things I love about clear blocks, plus added the grid and made them perfect. So I highly recommend them. And she's got a variety of sizes. She just came out with that larger one that I used to put the watercolor ink on, and then she just came out with that one. But my favorite, she's got little round ones, and I really like the little round ones because they're the perfect size for so many different stamps. And now I'm completing the words here, just brushing off the excess. And you know what? If I don't get all the excess off, so what? Because that'll just give me more texture on different parts of this page. And there's so many more things I could have added to this, but I did have to finish at some point. So I'm going to heat set this, and then I'm going to add a few little. So I completed the embossing, and it's hard to see in a photo or in the video actually, but I've pulled out I created a lot of the leaf die cuts from the Brutus Monroe dies that I had, and those are leaf note. They're almost like sticky notes on the back that I got from a My Monthly Hero card kit. And then that sentiment I love is from the Hedgehog Hollow October kit. And I really want to use that on this page, but I'm going to have to save some of these things for a different page, because clearly I need to make more autumn pages. I have a lot of things to use. So I'm just going to attach some linen thread because I like that natural element, and I'm putting some of these little die cut leaves, and I used a variety of scraps in colors that are fall inspired. So I'm going to add those here. So I've completed adding all the linen thread and the leaves with my foam tape. Now I'm just adding some sequins, and these are different shades of orange and yellow. I've had this mix for a while. I think I got that in a Simon Says Stamps craft kit last year maybe, but I've had it a while. So I'm going to add those. I'm using my QuickStik and my multimedia mat, and I'm putting a generous amount of glue on the back because this is going to be in a book. So I'm going to kind of I'm, wondering how the sequins are going to work, but it's hard not to put sequins on a project. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to call it a day on this project because I really like it. It's about the technique for me and trying out those new watercolor things, and the watercolor brush markers I got from Altenew, and that liquid masking pen that I've had since I took the class a while ago, but I haven't used. So I still want to put more stuff on this page, but I'm calling it a day. So that's going to complete my project, and I'm going to be adding more pages to this, and keeping a list of the techniques that I use. And I'm actually going to, that page is a little warped, so I'm actually going to use double-sided sticky tape to actually tape it down to the page behind it. And that's that. Stop by my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Give this video a like and share with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to my channel while you're here, and I will link to the products I used on this project below and on my blog, again, at stampingimperfection.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day.